Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing? How are the levels today, by the way? I've pumped them up a little bit, so hopefully I'm reading at 100% on your meters. Hi, Martina. Rovigo 55. Counting down 2 minutes to go. Peter Young's in. Just installed OBS, which is what I'm using to live stream. It's great, easy to use and set up. Not used any other live stream software before. OBS is great. Anthony, finally got the blue screen. Ah, fantastic. Used it for photography. Can't wait to podcast with it and live stream, yes. How about class on OBS? Yeah, I could definitely do that in the future. Joe's in, trying to hurry up and get to work so he can watch on the laptop. Yeah, I've got some of your audio in on the show today, Joe, as well. Thais, oh my, I thought I was early. Yes, earlier arrivals, including Joe and Anthony. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. Guna is there from Istanbul. You can use Wirecast. There's actually, I think there's a topic in the community about that. Wirecast is good. A few others around as well. Christopher's in, using some of your audio, Christopher. Piet from Austria in. Stand by, we're going live in 1 minute from now. And hello, I am Mike Russell from musicradiocreative.com. Welcome along to the live stream today. This is the live stream for you if you're an audio producer, if you're a voiceover artist, if you're someone editing video and just wanting to make the audio sound better, anyone who's playing creatively with audio, this is the live stream for you. It's Monday, we're into a fresh new week, and it's great to be with you. We're talking about reducing noise or even eliminating noise using Adobe Audition CC today. And before we even get started, a donation to the show via a very generous super chat over on youtube.com/musicradiocreative. Big shout out to Future Films in Poland, who's just donated 5 Polish zloty to the show. So thank you. Double thumbs up to you. Look at that. And you can actually see just over there is the super chat. If you're watching the live stream, you can actually see them appear on the screen, which is rather nice. So we'll be getting to your comments every 15 minutes during the show. So do please get them in. 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, 45 minutes in, I shout out comments. Obviously, if you do a super chat, I shout it out immediately. So it's going to be really exciting. What are we going to cover on the show today? Well, we're going to cover noise reduction when it's working with audio that has messy stuff in, like screaming parrots, or maybe we've got noise from a street and there are car horns, or, you know, the whining sounds you get of cars going by and all that kind of stuff. We'll be eliminating that. We'll be using Adobe Audition's world-class tools, such as a marquee selection in spectral frequency display, such as, now, you didn't know you could do this maybe in audio, maybe you did, because I know some very talented people watch this show, but there's actually a Photoshop style kind of selective spot healing tool, I think you'd call it. So obviously if you're working with your wonderful photos and you've got a little bit that you want to like maybe scrub someone out or scrub something out of a scene, you can do spot healing in Photoshop. Well, you can actually do that in Adobe Audition too. I'll also cover maybe a plugin or two and bits like that. So really, really excited to get into the content today. So shall we hop over? Let's just hop over to my screen share over here. And I wanted to show you this if you have not seen it already. This behind me is the community. And what we've got going on here is a bunch of audio enthusiasts chatting away. And let me just show you, we now have categories. Yes, we have categories, as you can see. This is something that has been requested by members of the community. So you can see where everything is. We've got free stuff where you can grab audio stems, sound effects, jingles, loops. It's building up at the moment, so there'll be plenty of free downloads for you to come in there. A place to discuss the live stream is in there as well. Audio software category, we've got Adobe Audition, Pro Tools and Audacity in there at the moment. Probably add a few more doors after the show. Definitely considering Logic in there because I use Logic. So, and if you want to request a subcategory, please go ahead. Audio equipment, where we delve into mics, mixing consoles, audio interfaces, headphones, studio monitors, that kind of stuff. Audio production, not just the life of an audio producer, but also how do you get this effect? How do you get that effect? That's already going on a lot in the community. Audio plugins. A place, this has been long requested, a place to share your projects as well, so you can post audio, and I'm pleased to announce that that's a brand new feature in the community. If you hop in, I did update somewhere here, the ability to upload audio files. Now you can go in, you can drop an MP3 into the community, and it actually uploads. We got it hooked into Amazon S3, and then you can just play something back like this.
We can create your audio to match a certain beats per minute. This is perfect if you want to match vocals to music at a specific BPM.
So there you go. And David Jackson, wow, look at that. Amazing. Thank you so much, David. I'm a big fan of yours, so thank you for saying you rock, Mike. David Jackson is the, he does a multitude of shows, but you should definitely check him out on the School of Podcasting, which is brilliant. If you've never found that show before, I'm sure some of you in the community will know of it, but just search on your favorite search engine for School of Podcasting. David, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. So let's get rocking into what we're going to do, and we'll hop into Adobe Audition and take a look at a few bits and bobs here. What have I got? Well, I've got some music here. Have a listen to it. And then over here, I have got a rather noisy parrot. Now I'm going to copy and mix paste this into the music here. Maybe just lower down the level of the music a little bit so it's not too overpowering. And you can see all the stuff going on in spectral frequency display. If you haven't got that in your version of Audition, you just click this icon here. So that switches it off or switch it on, or the shortcut is Shift and D on your keyboard to bring it up. Now, when you're removing noise from audio, you really, really, really need to have Spectral display open, and I'll show you why. Let me mix paste in some of that noisy parrot right now, make it quite loud, so just raise it up to 107%, and we're overlapping, that's it. So we've got a noisy little parrot at the start of that. Now, I know this is an extreme case, but you can see right there, can't you, in the beginning note, we've got a noisy parrot. So this is where I would use, it's highlighted up here, the spot healing brush to try and eliminate as much of that parrot as I can. And I'm going to attack the third sort of squawk of that parrot. Now, as with Photoshop, if you've used Photoshop before, you can change the size of this tool on the screen by using your curly brackets, okay, on your keyboard like this, see? So I'm just, at the moment, I'm hitting the curly brackets there and making that bigger. But if you want to do it the manual way, you can also just change the PX there and make it the size you want it to be. But I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, just so I can select these little sort of squawks that I can see here of the parrot. Okay, and you'll notice as I start to do that, they start to disappear. Look at this. This is amazing. Now, you might have to go over it once or twice more just to really get the effect that you want, but I'm just going to start really attacking this squawk. And as you can see, it's already starting to disappear. And there is no other audio editor I know that can literally scrub out audio like I'm doing now. This is phenomenal. So this is Adobe Audition in action, doing one of the things it does best. I mean, it does a lot of things really great, but audio and noise reduction and restoration is one thing it does really well. We're just having a little problem down there with that bottom sort of lower frequency squawk. But let's have a listen already to how that has changed the squawk. So it's still there, but it's definitely disappearing. I'm just going to have a bit of an attack at this last little bit, see if I can do anything. Listen to that. I mean, now we're just going to scrub where I can see there are still bits of the parrot left. I'm scrubbing the parrot out of the audio. This is fantastic. And yeah, nearly gone. Maybe the high frequencies as well up here. So as you can hear, it's still there, but it's nothing like this. It's gone from that to that, which is pretty good to start with. I'm just going to scribble over. In fact, what I'll do is I'll increase the size of this tool now, so I can really start attacking that parrot. Look at that. Look at that mad, crazy parrot that I'm rubbing out. Okay, you don't have to be too precise. It helps if you are, but now tell me that I could spend a little while longer here, but I think that parrot is pretty much gone now. Look at that. So let's just do this again. But notice how the music stays intact, but the parrot disappears. That's pretty good if you ask me. Let's compare it to this one. Wow, and I could be even more precise and just rub away over here, and then maybe a little bit down there as well. And let's try again. That's with, and that's without. Wow, do you want to have one more listen to that? Hang on, really close listen. That parrot is pretty much gone. And I could go through and do the same again, just really quickly, just covering over here. And again, usually it helps to pass over this a couple of times to really get the noise reduction to kick in. But yeah, if you've never used this tool before, I cannot recommend it enough. It's called the Spot Healing Brush Tool, and it works the same as Photoshop, but for audio, right? So you can just go in there, and again, we're just going to eliminate that parrot squawk from our music. So this works best, this tool, if you have something that's clearly different to the source you're already working with, yeah? So at the moment, I've got, a rather, as you can see from the spectral frequency, a rather bassy kind of woo there, which is quite nice in comparison to my loud, squawky, high-pitched parrot. There we go. So as you can hear, this is the first one. That's definitely there. Then the second, there's a bit there. And the third has pretty much gone completely, which is stunning. So I ruined some audio and I restored it. This is brilliant. Now, noise reduction can be used in so many different ways. Like, for instance, this always annoys me. Now, I love people who make radio imaging effects. In fact, I make a few of them myself. But what I don't like is when things like this happen. And let me show you. You can see it clearly in the spectral frequency display here. There is a line there. Can you see that clear line there and there? Okay, this is one of the libraries we use actually, and I recommend it. I love it. But occasionally producers will do this. See if you can hear what those two lines do when I play this imaging effect back to you. Now, for those of you listening in headphones, did you hear that high-pitched whine, that ee, as that effect kind of unfolded? Listen again. If you're listening to the podcast after the event, you may need to pop in both headphones, or if you're in a car, you probably won't hear it. But there is a high-pitched whine in that sound effect. And believe it or not, that's a common thing that these audio sound designers will do. And often I'll say, I don't like that, especially if I was going to use that inside a podcast as a transition element. I think that would probably annoy my listeners. So what you can do here is, if you ever hear sounds like that, obviously now we can see them as we work here in Adobe Audition, but If you ever hear a whining sound in your audio and you think that's a really annoying high-pitched whine, how do I get rid of that? Well, this is how. Spectral frequency display. And you could do something as simple as just delete like that. It leaves a great big black hole. And again, up here, I can see it here. There's another bit here. Let's delete that. Okay, gone. And let's see if the whining is still there. Those of you that said you could hear the whining, let's see if you can hear it now. Now, in my opinion, that's, let's hear it again. That imaging effect has just increased by 100% in its value because it doesn't annoy my ears. What have we got here? We've got the Paintbrush selection tool, so you can select. This is more rough. You can select bits. Now with Paintbrush selection, this actually might be a little bit better for getting rid of the whine. So let's put it back in and show you how that would work. There's that whine again. Now, with the paintbrush selection, you can be less aggressive. So with the one I had before was this one, the marquee selection tool. But now I'm using paintbrush. If I select over here, and again, you can reduce the point size, so I can make that actually a bit smaller. Let's do that, actually. And then just select this. Now, what you're doing here, it's making a little white highlight over that audio here, see? But it's actually highlighting in terms of opacity as well, so you can see that it's not quite dark white. If I delete, it doesn't delete everything. See, still some of the whine remains. So if I was to scrub back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, eventually that makes a really dark edit there. But it's just a little less aggressive. And if you're removing a ton of frequencies, then that can be another good way to attack audio. So many ways you can do it. Now, coming up in the rest of the show, in just a minute or two, I'm going to get into the first initial comments coming in. So it's always nice to have comments from you. If you're on Facebook Live, where are you watching from right now? Let me know on Facebook where you're watching from and what you hope to gain from this session. I did use a couple of other tools when I was preparing for this show today. I used one of these. This is my Canon EOS 60D. Can you see that there? It's an EOS 60D. And I used that, and I ran around all sorts of different parts of the studios here on the Isle of Wight and outside to get all kinds of different audio. And also I used one of these as well, a Roland R-05 recorder to get some wind rumble and bits like that. I'll be heading into some of the recordings I made on there and stuff we can do with them in about sort of 15 minutes from now, I reckon, because coming up next, we're going to look at some of your submissions, some of the stuff you've sent in on the community. But first of all, let's hop back to the chat, and it's always nice to see you there. Yeah, Christopher's really hoping to get a lot out of today. Well, Christopher, I'm going to be using your audio very soon indeed. The same with Joe, who I see is in the chat as well. We have got VJJ Master Entertainment watching from Douala, Cameroon. David Jackson, who I mentioned before, is there in the chat. Theus sounds good here. Good. I'm glad to hear that the audio is sounding good. Nice and loud. I'm maxing out on the mixing desk right now. What else have we got? Patrick Keller's in. Awesome to see you, Patrick. Nice of you to join us for this show. I think it's quite an exciting one because I can see a few podcasting names in the chat today. And as podcasters, we always have funny things happening around that we want to eliminate, especially if, by the way, you're working on different mics. Let me just give you an example of this. So I've got here in front of me this one. You can see a little bit of green screen bleed on the logo there. But this is an Audio-Technica AT4033 ASM. It's a condenser microphone. And you might ask me, Mike, why do you use a condenser microphone on your live stream instead of, you are a podcasting man as well, why do you not use the Heil PR40, which, by the way, is not active at the moment? Let me show you why. Because when I do the live stream, I do this and I do that, and I go over here and I go over there, and I do everything. So this is a condenser mic, and the pattern of a condenser mic is it kind of comes out like that from the microphone, see? So I can go literally all around this microphone, and you can pretty much hear me okay. Let me show you the same thing with a Heil, which, by the way, is a pretty darn good mic for podcasting. But if you want to move around, I'm just going to fade down the condenser and switch to the Heil. You ready for this? Now I'm on the Heil. Okay, now different sounds First and foremost, this is great for podcasting because you'll probably notice all of the fan noise and the background noise from my studio has kind of disappeared and you can hear my voice better. And the reason for that is it's literally a direct line microphone. So it won't pick anything else up around it. It's got a pattern like that coming out of it rather than like a condenser like that, okay? But it's not very forgiving. If I was to do something like that, you wouldn't hear me very well and I'd disappear from the mic. So I just leant away there and you didn't hear anything, particularly if I go around the back. You can't hear anything at all. Okay, so that's a simple thing, but definitely if you want noise reduction in your podcast, dynamic mics are slightly better than condensers, but condensers for moving around and doing funny, wacky things and focusing on you rather than on you. And when I say you, I'm looking at the microphone now. I go for condenser. Anthony, for video streaming, what software is used other than OBS? Oh, I think I answered that in the pre-stream before we went live. But yeah, I'm using OBS. Wirecast is out there as well. That's pretty good too. What have we got? Nella Arabara. And I've just realized, thank you, Nella, because I know you did a super chat on the stream last week. And I've just realized because you used the same name in our community over at community.musicradiocreative.com. And you said reverse it. And that goes to Barbara Allen. So now I'll remember to call you Barbara instead of Nella. Sorry for confusing that, Barbara. Oakley, hello from Tanzania, tuned in as always. Do I use Camtasia? No, when I create tutorials, I use ScreenFlow from Telestream. They also make Wirecast. What else have we got in here? We have got Isabella is in moderating, which is always nice to have. Luis Riviera as well. Good morning from Ohio. Nice to see you there. What else have we got here? My life will not be complete until I have Mike's hair. That's so kind. And the beard maybe as well. The moustache. What else have we got? Hi, Isabella. Nice to have you again on the stream. Hey, Mike, when do you import tracks as stereo and when as mono into multitrack? Well, I would, for instance, be quite happy importing a voiceover as mono into a multitrack because, of course, it is mono. Most of our voice artists send mono files to us. But that doesn't matter because if you import it as mono and put an effect on that's stereo, it's fine because that effect will still be stereo as long as your track is stereo. Okay, so as long as the track you create in the multitrack is a stereo track. Let me show you quickly. If I just go into multitrack over here, new session there. Let's put in my MRC Adobe Audition presets there. So these are all stereo tracks. If I create a new track, make sure it's a stereo track and then you'll get stereo effects. Otherwise, if it's a mono track, you only get mono effects. So something to bear in mind there. What have we got? Michael, top of the morning to you. Neil, first time joining in with the live cast. I've been subbed for a while to you. Just want to say your work is awesome and helped me many times. Thank you, Neil, and thank you so much for making the effort and taking the time out of your day to actually be here with us live. It sounded spooky with the parrot earlier, didn't it? Patrick, sounds like it worked for my show. It's freaking amazing. It's like you're in Paint, yeah, or Photoshop. I know it's crazy some of the stuff you can do. So yes, lots of good stuff there indeed. Dave is asking how the baby's doing, how the kids doing. They're doing very well, thank you. They're growing up very fast as well, and we have them home with us. That's one of the beauties of working from home. We have the kids with us all the time, so we kind of do shifts. Obviously, I'm on now doing a show, but then I'll finish and then it's dinner time. So you know how it is. If you've got kids, you know how it is. So yes, good fun and very busy. So I didn't mention yet that you can join the community. Just before I get back to the next bit of noise reduction, just head to the URL I'm sharing now in the chat. It's community.musicradiocreative.com and a whole ton of discussions going on in there, categories now in place, and you can ask questions or dish out advice. And I'm just stunned by the amount of quality people that are joining up and sharing their thoughts and advice on the world of audio. And by the way, I haven't promoted this anywhere else apart from on the live stream. So we have just really, really interesting people in the community. And if you'd like to be a part of that, it's free. Community.musicradiocreative.com. Focus Films is in Louisiana. Lay is asking what headphones I'm using. DT770 Pros, and Alec is there in Athens in Greece. So let's get back to this now and have a look at some other audio. So I've got some audio from Christopher Pendy. Let's drop this in. We need to normalize your audio, Christopher. It's rather quiet. And we'll have a listen to what we've got here and see whether we can do anything fascinating with this. So first of all, I can see a bit of bass rumble going on here. Let's have a listen and see how it sounds.
Here we go, 3, 2. It was a nightmare at the Ohio State Fair. 3, 2. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. 3.
Yeah, I can hear some awful rumble going on in there. Now, a quick fix for that might be rolling off below 100 or 200 hertz, but let me just try and find those rumbles in here.
Growing question.
Right, there's one there.
Question.
And I think it's actually when you say kind of poppy sounds like and stuff like that.
Question.
I'm just trying to isolate where that sound might be. I don't know if you can hear that now on the live stream, that sort of rumble. There's definitely a sort of bass rumble, but I need to try and locate that. Let's have a look. Now, I'm just going to do a little bit of voice surgery here, so I'm just going to cut that out and see if that gets rid of the bass. Yes, it does, but it destroys the voice. Let's see. What we might want to do here is try a very simple...
This morning, growing questions about...
So on this and question, you can hear a rumble.
This morning, growing questions about...
So I'm just going to go in and first of all, we'll go into Filter and EQ, Scientific Filter here. And let's make this default. So we want to go for a Butterworth type Scientific Filter. It's going to be a high pass. And what that means is we are keeping the high and taking away some of the bass, like so.
This morning, growing questions about the...
That's pretty much made it a lot better, I'd say.
This morning, growing questions about the...
Yeah, that's done it. I can probably take that down to 100 actually then.
This morning, growing questions about...
No, I can hear it. It's popping back in. So it's somewhere between 100 and 150 we've got a problem.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy.
Much better. Let me play that again now with the effect off.
This morning, growing questions about...
Now, just tell me in the chat if you can hear the rumble, but put that on and it should disappear.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment of...
So a scientific filter will work, but I've just had another idea, and that would be to use something like Knotch Filter, because you can be a little more precise with your Knotch Filter. Now you can switch these notches on and off if you like, so I can switch off all the rest of these, and then I've just got one notch here, and I can notch around where I want. I can also change the notch width as well to make it super narrow or very narrow, depending on which frequencies I want to eliminate. Let's just have a play here and see if we can find.
This morning, growing questions about the This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment. This morning, growing questions. This morning, growing questions about...
Let's take that in.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment. This morning, growing questions about the... This morning, growing questions about the terrifying... This morning, growing questions about the...
Right.
This morning, growing questions about the...
Can you hear that? That rumble has pretty much gone now completely just using Knotch. The reason I'm using Knotch and sort of passing up on the Scientific Filter here is because, as you can see, with Scientific Filter, it's knocking off everything. It's literally doing a kind of, off the edge of a cliff with your EQ. Whereas Knotch is just taking out the problematic audio or the problematic frequencies.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment of thrill ride. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment of... Okay,
Christopher, I think that's good so far using a bit of Knotch. And now what we'd want to do, just focusing on this part of your audio, because once we've done a bit of restoration on one single part of your audio, it should be that we can just apply this effect across the board to all of your audio and clean it up. And I like to always pick out just a tiny piece of audio to work with, so that if I can find a piece of audio that is particularly problematic, and I know there are two problems in that piece of audio, then I can just keep looping it round with the loop on there until I get the desired effect. Now I will go in to amplitude and compression, and I might add a single band compressor just so we give your voice a nice bit of compression. So I'm bringing up the preview window so you can see how the compressor works. Let's go back to default here, and we'll take the threshold down to minus 20-ish. Whack the ratio up a bit. There you go. You can see it starting to move. Attack and release seem okay. The defaults are usually quite fine, especially for spoken word, kind of you doing a bit of a newscast here. Just going to bring the threshold down a bit more to flatten it out and really attack that audio. Let's have a listen.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about...
And then as I compress it, I can hear the audio a lot clearer, so I might want to just have a play with the Knotch Filter again.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about the...
And I'm going to pop in another notch as well, see if I can't sort of attack another part of this
This
audio.
morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in... This morning, growing questions...
That's completely eliminated that bass rumble now. I'm just going to see if I can get away with making the notches a little narrower so we're not attacking too much of the bass frequencies that we want to keep in.
This morning,
yeah, as you can hear, straight away when I make them narrow like that.
This morning, growing questions about...
That rumble is back with a vengeance, so I'm just going to go back to narrow there.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy.
Okay, sounding good. Now, after I have done my Knotch filter to remove unpleasant frequencies, a bit of single band compressor to compress it a bit, I then might go on and add a little bit of EQ and then a final bit of compression afterwards. So let's have a look. What should we go for? Parametric EQ will help. Let's go to the default view here and have a mess about.
This morning,
so let's see what frequencies we can add in and make them sound pleasant.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment of...
And actually, I'm just going to zoom in so you can have a good look. Have a good look at this. Let me just bring it into view, and you can see what I'm doing now as I move it and play back.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning...
Okay, so taking out a bit of the boxy mid-range, adding on some treble there, and also just increasing the presence at about 1K there. So that's so far working for my ears.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing
Okay, so that is about it, I think, for the EQ there. And then finally, now we're looking at everything going on in the preview window there. Another bit of amplitude and compression. Let's go for dynamics here. Let's see how we can set this up to be nice and spiky. I'm just going to get rid of all those other effects so we don't get all confused. And we'll see how we're sounding now if I just add on a little bit of dynamics.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. This morning, growing questions about...
Okay, that's probably too intense. Let's bring that back up.
This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy.
Okay, cool. And then what we can do, if I bring in a little more audio like this, we can noise gate it a little bit by slapping in a point there and bringing it down.
It was a nightmare at the Ohio State Fair. 3.
Okay, now you can see as I move this across, you should see some of Christopher's audio disappearing. Let's see if we can make that work for us. There we go, starting to disappear. So we're kind of adding in a little bit of a noise gate here, and you can see how the audio is going from purpley yellow to virtually black.
It was a nightmare at the Ohio State Fair. 3, 2. This morning, growing...
And you can see actually the noise gate kicking in. If I just zoom in, when that, the red bar, which is here, goes all the way down there, noise floor is being attacked basically. Watch this. I'll play it to you and you can hear how it, and see how it works.
It was a nightmare at the Ohio State Fair. 3, 2. This morning, growing questions about the terrifying moment a thrill ride ended in tragedy. 3, 2.
So I've probably got that set just a little too aggressively, so move it a little over to the left again, because where Christopher's counting in, it's kind of sounding a little bit off.
3, 2. 3, 2.
That's a little bit better. And over here?
3, 2.
Yeah, that sounds okay. So again, we've got that in our chain now. So you are looking at something that consists of a notch filter to remove those pesky bass frequencies. Then we've got a single band compressor just to flatten out the voice nicely. Parametric EQ just to brighten up the voice and make it sound good. Remove any sort of nasty frequencies, enhance the good frequencies. Dynamics processing, just a little bit more compression as a final thing after you've done some EQing. And then we're noise gating down here by pulling this in and reducing any audio that falls below a certain audio level. So there we go. And if I highlight this, well, actually, you can see now the dramatic difference we have. Have a look at the preview sequence down here compared to this sequence. First of all, you can see the compression is really nice on this. Secondly, you'll find, Christopher, that your bass rumble has disappeared. And thirdly, you just find that your voice sounds a little bit better and brighter. I'll apply that now. I will save it. And yeah, okay, so that's the same thing. Did you send it to me as a WAV file? I think you might have done. Oh, no, you sent it to me as an M4A. Wow. How technologically advanced. An M4A. Wow. Well, if you don't mind, Christopher, I'm going to save it as an MP3 and I'm going to send you that finished product back. So let's do that. And I see, Christopher, thank you so much for the wonderful super chat. I will probably be using this technique later today. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'm very, very grateful for the super chat, although I don't expect it. And yeah, just happy to work on your audio. So brilliant stuff. Let me save that as MP3. I'll change it up to a bit rate of 320. And we can include markers and other metadata. So we'll save that in there. We'll just put at the start processed. So we know it's processed, and I'll send that back to you as a private message via the Music Radio Creative community, so you can have a listen to that processed audio. I haven't listened to all of it, so it might not all be perfect, and you could probably make further tweaks. But at least you've got your 4 tools there now you can use straight away. If you have not joined the Music Radio Creative community, I know many of you watching have done so already. But here's the URL in the YouTube live chat. For those of you watching elsewhere or listening to the podcast, go to community.musicradiocreative.com. It's only 2 weeks old, this community, but I'm absolutely loving it. First and foremost, we've had 3 major changes to the community over the weekend. And the biggest one, really, you'll notice when you hit the front page, is we've introduced categories to the community now. This is something that's been requested by a couple of you already. And so we've got categories, nice categories now to sort of keep conversations in their correct places. So audio software, Adobe Audition, Pro Tools, Audacity, audio equipment, you know, what's the best microphone, headphones, mixing consoles, audio production for your audio effects and plugins and bits like that. Share your projects. That's a really good one as well. And what we've done as well is given you the ability to upload audio files. I did demo this at the start, but this is great. I mean, if you want to drop in an audio file, you can see I've done it here. All you have to do is create a new post and then just click the upload button there and then just select your MP3 file. It will upload it to our community and it will also make it into a nice little playable box, so you don't have to worry about doing anything. You can just straight away just play it back and it's absolutely wonderful. So really liking that. And finally, there was one more thing, and that is in the feature requests subcategory, you now have the ability to post features you'd like to see either in the community or just simply from Music Radio Creative. So on our main site where we make jingles, or here on the live stream, you can post something you would like to happen, and then people can vote on it. So create forum categories up at the top. If I wanted that to be a thing, I could click vote, and I give my one vote there to create forum categories. So it's a bit like those old forums, like I think it was User Voice and things like that, where, you know, crowdsourced ideas, you know, the best and most voted ideas are obviously going to get done first. So some new things for you to check out if you're already a member. If you're not, it's free, community.musicradiocreative.com. David Jackson asking, what technology are you using for managing the community? This is actually something called Discourse. Let me see if I can find the website for you and show you. Discourse. Where is it? Discourse. Really, really good. Their tagline is civilized discussion. And here it is. So, yeah, I've seen a load of other communities using this, and I thought this is just a really good way of, and a sort of new way of doing chat communities, sort of without the old, what was it, the old PHP, BB and all of that. They've really introduced some good tech here, and they even say, I think in their vision, in their roadmap, ignore the $100 a month. I mean, you can pay that if you'd like it managed, but if you are able to do a few things with a web server, as I know you are, David, you can just set it up on your web server and fire it up and get it running. They've got a GitHub page here which you can go to, and you can grab their code and then just whack it up on your server and get it running. But yeah, I really, really like it. It's working really well. And as you can see from some of the features I've just chatted about, so many cool things you can do with it as well. So very, very exciting stuff. And I'm proud to be using Discourse, and also proud to let you know that it is Discourse, because when I see a good piece of software, I get very excited about it. So there you go. What else have we got? David Silk. Oh no, did we miss you? We missed you at the start of the show, but David's in now. David, I see you shared a wonderful Adobe Audition session file in the community over the weekend. So I've already had a look at your cat and dog mix, but I'll definitely be looking in more detail when I finish. Can't wait for that. Patrick, sorry you sound like an old person, but how do you do super chat thing by phone? Oh, I don't think you can on the phone, unfortunately. It's one of those things you need to be on the desktop, and then you just you hit the $sign next to the emoji icon usually, and then you can do it there if you'd like to. KR04L on Twitch says hi from Russia. Hello to you. Says lovely to see you there, and Zazdrovia to you. Thank you for watching on Twitch. Adil, thank you. What else have we got here in the chat? Learning a lot today, Mike. Thanks, says Anthony. We got Eofin. Hi, Mike. Thank you for the great inspiration. ATB. Eddie from the Faroe Islands. Wow. Got a viewer in the Faroe Islands. That's just made my day today. I know exactly where you are. You're a Danish territory, just kind of northwest of Scotland, I believe. I've always wanted to visit. So now, Eddie, maybe I've got a reason to visit. I can come and say hello. What's the population on the Faroe Islands? Let me know. Thanks, Joe, for the kind comment there. What else have we got? Oh, let me turn my notifications off. You see, I get pop-up notifications as well. You can enable notifications on that forum too. It's really amazing. Yeah, wow, fabulous. What else have we got? Paul Orzin, Greg Smith. Thanks very much for the kind comment. Really appreciate that. I got Barbara in there as well, chatting with Isabella. Simon Kirk voiceover. Hey, from Putney, London. Hey, this is great to see you there, and I'm glad it's helping you as a voiceover. Plenty more stuff, so I better get straight back into it, because I do want to squeeze a lot more in, including, if I get time, some of the samples I recorded on my Roland and Canon 60D as well. But let's go over to Joe's audio now and drag this in. Now, Joe, you did drop me the audio of a full sermon from your church, which I did have a listen through to. By the way, great speaker in this clip of audio, really sort of compelling speaker. And actually, I have to say, even the unprocessed versions sound pretty good to my ears already. But Joe was kind enough to, let me just drag this in here, to share his settings so far. And he said you can share this stuff on the stream. So we've got all of this. There is one part of the audio, though, I am going to drag in and have a play with. But these are Joe's settings. Let me just drag that so you can see on the live stream. These are the settings Joe is using at the moment in Adobe Audition. And I have to say, Joe, what you've got there already in your chain looks absolutely amazing to me. I mean, that is and from what I understand, you have a website as well for your church, and you upload these sermons, and it's a really good website. I've seen it. It looks really good. So you're making sure that the audio quality is good too. So let's see what Joe has got in his rack here. We've got the de-esser going on between the frequencies of around 2.5K and 7K. So yes, it's a male speaker, so I'd expect the range to be less than with a female. So that looks good to me. Dynamics processing, a little bit of a bump, a hard knee compressor there, which again is absolutely fine. Ratio is just over 2:1, and threshold -25, which should be perfect. Patrick! Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate you, Patrick. Very, very kind of you. And thank you for supporting the show. So you must have got to a desktop computer. That's amazing. I'm stunned. Thank you, Patrick. We got Fft Filter here as well. Joe is rolling off just under 30 hertz. Now, Joe, I'm not sure why you've gone for just under 30 hertz. I mean, that's not going to eliminate that much as far as I'm aware. I would probably attack further up at maybe 100 or 80, but I mean 30, it would definitely reduce anything that's a real problem there in the background. Then we're using the Fft filter, and we're notching out certain frequencies. So what I guess Joe has done is kind of taken a listen to those frequencies, said they sound really bad in the sermon, and taken them off. Joe, for this, something like the Parametric Eq or the Knotch Filter may serve you better, and the reason why is just you have to put in 2 points and then another point and then drag that point down, whereas with Knotch, you just drag the 1 point. Let me just quickly demo that. So the coolest thing about Knotch or Parametric, let's do Knotch first, is that I can just take a point and notch down, and I can also notch up to tell if a frequency is a problem, and I can make them super narrow. But even better is the Parametric EQ for this. So if you go into effects, where are we here? Filter and EQ, Parametric, here we go, default, and then pick up one of these. You can actually make that notch narrower by changing the Q width, like that, so I can make it a real small notch, and I can go through, so let's play some of this sermon here now, and I can notch through and find out the problem frequencies.
Maybe it's been physical, maybe it's been...
Let's actually normalize this first so we get this a little bit louder. So just normalizing all of the audio here. There we go, and let's play this.
That is his mission. That is his entire purpose in working in and through our lives.
So you hear there where you get that kind of... almost like a whistling wind.
That is his mission.
So that's around there we're getting a bit of a bad frequency.
That is his mission. That is his entire purpose in working in and through our lives.
And we could probably just maybe make that a little, smaller, little notchier.
That is his mission. That is his entire purpose in working.
So right about there, that's a frequency I would take out. Let's listen now.
That is his mission.
And then put the frequency back in.
That is his mission.
Now, it might not be entirely noticeable to start with, but definitely notching out those kind of whistly frequencies as you go through on the Parametric EQ, it's going to make your audio definitely sound a lot better. But here's one in particular, or we didn't finish looking at Joe's full settings, so let's have a look. We've got some multiband compression, and it appears that you're just attacking here, Joe, any frequency between 150 hertz to 2000 hertz, which is kind of bass to mid-range, and you're just compressing a little bit of that. I'm guessing that takes out a little bit of rumble and any of those sort of muddy lower noises and kind of flattens them down a bit, so not a bad move. And again, another dynamics processor at the end as well, similar to the first one. I guess just to, again, flatten down the audio after you've done a little bit of EQing and changes. So thanks for sharing your rack with us, and do feel free to post that rack in the community as well. I'm sure a lot of others would find that of great interest and significance. So here, in particular, Joe highlighted a part of the sermon that had mic feedback.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
And you hear how, obviously, whatever happened, the microphone got too close to one of the speakers, and we got that kind of feedback.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
And you can actually see right here, in yellow, we should have the microphone feedback on its own. Okay, now there are two ways you could attack it. First of all, you could just delete and play back and see whether that changes things.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
And yes, the microphone feedback is completely gone, but it sounds like the speaker is on the telephone now, because we've removed a lot of those bassy frequencies up to 500 hertz. So another way to attack it would possibly be to use the noise reduction tools here, and we've got a few options here. First of all, let's try and find, and I'm going to go with the sound remover, because noise reduction is one that always gets used, but sound remover is an Adobe Audition CC tool. It's quite good. Now there's a real big ooh right there, isn't there? Let's try and find that. There it is. Okay. That's total mic feedback. And we're going to learn the sound model of that. Okay. That's the first thing you do. Okay. Effects, noise reduction, restoration, learn the sound model of the feedback. And then effects, noise reduction, restoration, sound remover process. And we're just going to have a mess with the different presets here to try and get it right. What I can do.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
Well, that's pretty perfect already. I thought I was going to have to go through twiddling dials and changing things, but just learning the sound model of the feedback and applying the sound remover by its default preset.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
I really can't hear any more feedback, can you? And Joe, thank you so much, Joe, for the wonderful super chat. Really appreciate all this, Mike. I can't wait to update all these edits. I hear more and more problems the more I listen. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? When we're editing audio, it's getting those problems and finding the best way to attack those problems. So thank you so much, Joe. And I'm going to go into some more on that in just a moment, but I will get back to your comments. And I just see now, I just glanced up, I see David Silk saying, be nice, Isabella. David, our regular, and it's always good. I love it when I see your face in the chat, David, from Adelaide, Australia. He said, be nice with your spanner, Isabella. Isabella is a moderator here on the live stream and also in the community. Although I have to say, Isabella's been rather absent recently from the Music Radio Creative community. I mean, where is she? She is the other half of Music Radio Creative. So yes, but she does like to use her spanner in the... so I'm guessing there's been some spam in there or something. Oh dear, my goodness. Dark TC was banned by Isabella Russell. Crikey, what did Dark TC do, Isabella? I trust your judgment. Anthony, Isabella just regulated my hero. This is getting more comments right now than the noise reduction work I'm doing. Isabella's moderation skills. What have we got here? Orcan, I've got some Tascam sounds, and all I can hear is hiss. When I remove it with noise reduction, I get a weird robotic noise. Oh, I wish I could show you that. Let me try and show you that in just a moment. Yeah, well done, Isabella, says Ravigo55. So you definitely did the right thing there, Isabella. Christy is turning notifications on. It's a fantastic idea to do that on the community. I think you need to have the community open in a tab in Chrome. But if you do and you have notifications on, you'll get like little pop messages that will come up whenever someone posts something and you've selected to get a notification on that post, which is great. Thanks, Theus, for the kind comments. What else have we got? There's 50,000 people on the Faroe Islands. Wow. I live on the Isle of Wight and there's 130,000 people here, roughly. And I feel like that's pretty low in terms of population. So I reckon the Faroe Islands would be a great place to visit. Amir, hi, Isabella. How have you been? What else have we got? Loads of great chat coming in, so thank you for keeping them coming. We've got Fifi watching from Ghana, which is amazing stuff. Let's go back and zoom in to this sound remover, if we can, just for a moment. Hopefully we can zoom in and take a good look. And I'm just going to play you now with that sound remover applied to this audio.
My heart was really burdened in this area. My heart was really burdened in this area. My heart was really...
That's super, isn't it? That's really good. If I switch it off, let's have a listen again.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
Wow. Okay. And let's see what happens if, for instance, we change some of these. So sound model complexity. I'm guessing this is a bit like a chroma key where you turn it up and it kind of attacks it a little bit more.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
Now you can hear it starting to get washed out a little bit.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
So we're degrading audio quality. So I think it was on 10 before. We can maybe even go down to 7. Let's try that.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
Still works. How far can we go? Let's go down to 5.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
So I want that to be the lowest it can be, because obviously we're going to retain audio quality. Sound refinement passes.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
Sounding really good. Let's whack that up a bit further.
My heart was really burdened in this area.
Sounding good, although we're losing quality, so let's go back down again. So yeah, plenty you can play with there, but the sound remover is just, it's a notch up from using the noise reduction restoration. There are times you can use that, but I'm conscious now we are running fast out of time, and I still have so much I want to show you. Might have to do another session on audio and noise reduction if that's something you'd like. Maybe put it as a feature request or something in the community, and we'll do that. Actually, there was somewhere someone was asking for a place to ask for topics on upcoming shows, so maybe that needs to be a category as well. Just thinking on the fly. Let me just show you this distorted tone. This is a test tone, as you know, the 1K. Oh, that's a bit loud. Turn it down. And then what I did, when I recorded this test tone, I just turned the gain up on the mixing desk, and look what happens when you start distorting. This will happen to all audio, but you might not notice it. It starts bleeding into other frequencies. So obviously here, it's a simple win. I can just, with a 1 kilohertz tone, I can just delete that and erase that bleed. Although it still sounds a little messy and a little distorted. Let's go to favorites and normalize it. So we take it down a bit. Let's have a listen now to this. Yeah, that's better. We've now restored the tone. So the tone is good. But I did have some samples that I created. Before I get into them though, let me just show you a noisy street in the spectral frequency display. Now, I wonder if you can see it. Might need to zoom in a little bit and show you. But there are certain little bits, like, for instance, here. This will be the sound of something in the street. Watch when we get to that little sample there. Yeah, the whining of a car, the same here. Not really perceptible there. Let's have a look at, there's something here. This will probably be a car horn. Or a beep, maybe over here. Let's have a listen. Oh yes, a whistle, perfect. So if we want to get rid of that whistle, again, a couple of ways we can attack that whistle. First of all, I can just block it and delete it from Spectral and then play it back. And you've got rid of the whistle, but you've also degraded audio. So another great way to do this is with that spot healing brush and just wipe over it like so. Let's try with that. There we go. And wipe over, because there are other frequencies up here that are bad. And let's play. Still there a little bit, but pretty much gone. Let's play back again. Pretty much gone now. So that's much better than it was if I just undo all the work I've done than this. And you hear that kind of whistle or that squeaking sound. Again, something going on here. Let's have a look at this. So that's one of those kind of squeaky, whiny noises that you get on vehicles. Again, spot healing. We're just going to spot heal that now. Oh, look at how nice that looks. Has that whining gone? 100% gone, and pretty much imperceptible degradation to audio. So this is all Adobe Audition good stuff, really, really good stuff. Something else I was going to show you now is maybe get rid of all the audio we've had here, and I'm going to drag in some of the stuff I recorded earlier on, so we can just have a listen to some of these samples and see if we can do anything with this. So over here, let's go into the multi-track here for a second. Noise reduction. So I recorded a few movies on my Canon 60D here, and here's one that I did in the kitchen. Oh, we need the audio as well. Oh, what's going on here? Click OK. There we go. Here I am inside my kitchen testing the internal camera on the Canon EOS 60D. Rather echoey in here. I can hear sounds reflecting off every surface, so I'm wondering what this will sound like. And let's take off some of that processing so that we get it to sound raw. Here I am inside my kitchen testing the internal camera on the Canon EOS 60D. Rather echoey in here. I can hear sounds reflecting off every surface, so I'm wondering what this will sound like. And what I might want to do is go to the audio, and I did. Let's have a listen to this. Yeah, that's a noise floor, and this is background noise. Let's have a listen to this as well. Yeah, so let's take that. So if we just wanted to get rid of background noise, we could do this with effects, noise reduction restoration, capture noise print. Click OK to that, and then select the whole audio here, and then noise reduction and restoration, noise reduction process. Let's go to the default setup here and have a listen. Here I am inside my kitchen. Already that's starting to clean things up, but let's just increase the noise reduction a little bit. Here I am inside my kitchen. Here I am inside my kitchen. Here I am inside. Up the reduction there. Here I am inside my kitchen testing the internal camera on the Canon. And this works a little bit like an EQ filter, so we can choose the EQ bits we want to. Here I am inside. Again, what I would do with this before playing with the EQ, I would probably notch through with the Parametric EQ and find some of the parts that I don't like. So, for instance, Parametric EQ, and let's notch around here. Here I am inside my kitchen testing the internal camera on the Canon EOS 60D. Rather echoey in here. I can hear sounds reflect. I could just take it off like that and then apply the noise reduction. That is a way to do it. There are so many other things you can do as well. Let's, for instance, take a look at what we got here. Let's have a look at, hang on, let's go in here and bring in a new audio file here. Oh, this is me outside. Let's have a listen. This is me outside exposing the internal camera in the Canon EOS 60D to wind elements and other outdoor noise. So you heard a little bit of wind rumble at the start, and you'll notice all of that wind rumble is occurring around the bass frequencies around here. You see it like a kind of fire going on there. Now, way I could get rid of this is I could sort of lasso that bit of audio here. That's wind rumble. Okay, cool. And we'll go into noise reduction, learn the sound model, and then fire up over all the audio here, effects and noise reduction, sound remover. It's just going to do its thing. It's got rid of most of it. This is me outside. Although that's not sounding too good. Let's go to the default. This is me outside. So we're probably going to have to play with that a little bit. No preset I see there right away that's going to help. Let's just try reducing some of these passes so we don't go so aggressive. This is me outside, exposing the... This is me out. What I might do is actually try changing the Fft size, see how that affects things. Let's make it slightly bigger. This is me outside. We're back to the original. So another thing, I mean, you can use sound remover on this, or you could simply just knock off the bass like this. See? This is me outside. But you are losing a lot of the audio. So I think that's something, now with 2 minutes left on the stream, I would need to spend rather a little bit more time on. But there are ways you can do it. There's one last thing you can do. Wind elements and... so let me just grab a full sentence. If something sounds awfully terrible in the Canon EOS 60D to wind element in the Canon EOS. Let's find a good sentence here. Other outdoor noise. So I'm just wondering how it's varying. It's not a... Right, let's try this. So I'm just going to record something that goes along with this. Let me just find this bit.
Sunny with a tiny breeze.
Sunny with a tiny breeze. Let's take that. Okay. Something nice and easy for me to remember. Sunny with... Oh, that's too loud. Sunny with a tiny breeze. Sunny with a tiny breeze. Just had to whack the level down on my mic there a little bit. It was a little bit hot going into Audition. And very quickly, I'm just going to pop this into the multi-track, and I'm going to do something called automatic speech alignment.
Sunny with...
Okay, so take the bad audio, take the newly recorded audio here. Let's just delete everything else so we can just focus in on this one thing here, like that. And we select both of them, and we select automatic speech alignment here. The reference clip is the movie clip, and we're aligning to Untitled 2. Click OK, and then mute that, and we suddenly get a quality recording that matches my lip sync, which at least it should do. Sunny with a tiny breeze. Okay. Maybe not entirely perfect on that occasion, but there is a better way to do it. You can do it for the whole audio, and obviously the better in sync you get with the lips, the better it is going to work out. So if you wanted studio quality, that's just another idea. Thank you for all your comments today. Patrick Keller recently, Anthony Hall, Amir, we've had Ravigo, Wector 11211, Okran, Barbara in there as well. Anthony, really appreciate all of you, and I will catch you over at community.musicradiocreative.com. We're here every single day live from 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. UK time. Head over to youtube.com/musicradiocreative and subscribe so you never miss a live stream.